Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to the Budget Stacker. Today, we're going to go to my happy place, which is talking about how to budget to stack your precious metals, silver and gold. My channel is called the Budget Stacker, and it's about time I got around to this topic. It'll be my opinions only, but if you're interested in hearing about some of my thoughts about budgeting to stack silver and gold, stay tuned because here we go. Well, alrighty then, let's get right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about how to budget for your silver and gold purchases. This is a pretty big topic. I'm going to try to just kind of give you my ideas. I'm not giving you financial advice. I don't know your specific situation. I'm just a guy on YouTube. So y'all have to be big boys and girls and take responsibility for your own life and do your own research. Make this one of the many videos you might check out, some of the information you might check out online. But you need to do your own research and you need to be responsible for your own finances. And that's part of the main goal when you're budgeting, is to make sure you have enough money to cover everything that you've have obligations for, and to keep you alive and keep you housed and everything. So for most people, you first need to get your main items of your budget together, is my opinion. There are certain things that you have to budget for first and foremost. In my opinion, and this is all going to be my opinion, number one is going to be housing. You need to have a place to live before you end up, buying any of these beautiful metals. The first priority in anybody's budget should be housing, whether that's your rent or your mortgage. There's too much of a problem of homelessness out there. That always should be your number one budgeting goal. Make sure you got enough money to have a safe place to live. So number one, housing. Take care of that first before you buy any of the precious metals. Number two, you want to make sure that you have enough for food. Kind of obvious, we all die if we don't eat, but that is the second biggest thing I suggest you make sure you take care of in your budget. Make sure you have enough for food. Getting harder and harder these days, obviously, with prices, but some things you can cut back on, like instead of getting the package of shredded or pre-washed lettuce and all that, just get a head of lettuce. Do it yourself. Different things like that where you can find to save money. That's a good place to see if you can. Always make sure you have money for food. Utilities. I couldn't film this video if I didn't have electricity. It would be kind of uncomfortable if I wasn't able to heat the place during the wintertime, which is a little chilly in our area, not as cold as others, not death-defying if we don't have a heater, but it's definitely something you need to have as your number three priority. Make sure you get those utilities paid. Sometimes, we are looking at our cable bills and, our cell phone bills. Those are our modern day utilities. And shop around, because you can find some better deals out there. Particularly lately, there's more competition in the markets, and that will help you to save some money there. Number three would be actually number four would be debt service. Most all of us these days will have some sort of debt, whether it's credit card debt, personal loan debt, housing. That's a different kind of debt. If you have like a mortgage, let's put that aside from your regular debt service. That's part of the housing budget that you'd have to do. But basically, debt service, you got to make those minimum payments at least so that you don't destroy your credit. Do the best you can, though, to pay off the debt. Most of the really successful stackers out there, the reason they're able to buy more silver, and myself as well, the only reason I have a budget at all right now for buying silver at the level I do is because I had debts that I have successfully been able to pay off. Normally, the best trick they say is, hey, go for those high interest rate ones first. And that can be true in a sense. Obviously, you're raking up more interest on those, but also want you to think about, which ones can you kill first? So if you have a minimum payment of this, and this one's got a larger minimum payment, this one, the larger minimum payment is going to be harder to kill first. But if you take the smaller minimum payment and you're able to kill off that debt first, that amount you were paying for that, you were already budgeted for. So you can take that smaller amount and start putting it towards that big payment, that big debt, so that you can reduce the debts over time and start killing the debts one by one. So figure out which ones are the easiest ones to kill, and we'll give you that nice chunk of minimum payment that you're used to making that you can then kill off the other debts with. But very important, particularly in a recessionary time as we appear to be going into, to have as little debt as possible. And when you do free up that debt, eventually you're going to find that you have room to purchase some precious metals. So that's the fourth thing you want to always make sure you get. You got to make sure you cover your debt, your minimum payments, and then start paying those down. You also want to truly budget for the unexpected and really honestly expected expenses. The Christmas holidays, that's an expected expense. Your wife's birthday, your kid's birthday, your parents, all those things that you would normally spend a little money for, budget for it. Whether you just take a little amount each paycheck and put it aside, build up that reserve for it. It's going to happen, so budget for it. Life expenses, we all want to go out to a movie every now and then, have a bite to eat at a restaurant. If your budget permits, you just try to moderate that as much as you can. But life does happen, so make sure you budget for that. Make sure you have a little expense where you're going to be going out anyway. But if you can, reduce that as much as you can to pay off any debt that you have. Investments is another part that I think everybody should have in their budget. If you've got everything else covered, then you need to start investing. Most larger companies these days, even a lot of smaller ones, are going to offer a 401k plan. That is a great way, in my opinion, to start investing. They usually take out a little bit amount. Sometimes your employer will even match that, which is fantastic. It's basically free money. They get to write it off and you get a little more in your pension. So definitely take advantage of that. If they'll match up to a certain point, if you can, get up to that certain percentage point so that you get that free money. It's pretty painless once you get it automatically deducted. You don't have to worry about it as much. You get kind of regular, deductions. So it's like you never had it because it doesn't hit your paycheck right away, actually at all, because it's being deducted before taxes even. So another benefit to that. Highly recommend if you have a 401k, even if you just start off with 1 or 2%. For you young people out there, you will not regret it. Just put that 1 or 2%. Try to raise it each year. If you get a pay raise, take some of that pay raise and up the ante a little bit. You will not regret it as you go on in life and as you have greater assets because of that for your retirement. And sometimes they have loans against them you can take. That's how I got my first house. It's a great investment vehicle. It's pretty painless. You get used to it not even being in your hands. So highly recommend it. If you got all that covered, then you're in the mode where you can purchase precious metals. It's not to say that you can't really start, even in a small way, before you get to that point. I mean, let's say you've got everything covered. Maybe you got just a little bit left each month. You got maybe $30 disposable income or $30 you can carve out each month. Go down and find your local coin shop and walk in, start building a relationship, and just look to see if you can buy a silver round. Silver is very affordable. Wouldn't recommend you buy anything less than an ounce, but you see if he's got any silver rounds. Probably stay away from the heavier premium items like gold eagles until you build up a little more of a oomph into your budget. But yeah, start out with just buying a silver round in your local coin shop. Go in there every month, just pick up a silver round, about $30, about $30 right now. So if you can afford that and still pay all your other bills and expenses, that's a good way to just kind of start. The younger you are that you start doing that, the better and the bigger your stack will be over time. Maybe you're not quite at that point yet as well. So maybe you really have no disposable income, but you sure would like to kind of start stacking some silver. Our quarters, our dimes, our half dollars, and some dollars, but you won't find those in general circulation. That were issued prior to 1965, so anything 1964 or younger in coinage, you'll notice there's a little difference to the sides of those coins. There is no copper on the inside of those coins. That's because these are 90% silver. This is what's called constitutional or junk silver, as most stackers know. But if you really don't have any money to put into buying, say, a silver round each month, maybe you get some change and you sort through a change. You go through a couple of rolls of quarters and you just look and you see, is there anything that's 1964 or younger and has a nice silver edge on it? And then you'll know that you've got a silver quarter. So this quarter is not worth a quarter because it has a certain amount of silver. You take that aside and you put it in your beginning stack, and then you replace that with another quarter that has the copper strip, an older quarter, or actually a newer quarter. And then you take those quarters back to the bank and you turn them in. And then maybe next month you get another roll and you do the same thing. That is, a way a lot of people have done it. It just takes a lot more work. You're not going to find a whole lot of those. You'll probably be discouraged initially if you don't find too many. But once you find that first one, you're starting to build your silver stack. So if you got nothing to start off with, that's another alternative. But basically, I would suggest, in my opinion only, you do not go on in debt to get silver and gold. You want to be in a position where you've paid off the majority of your debts is my suggestion, where you have that disposable income. You're not spending the rent money. You're not spending your emergency reserves. So if your car breaks down, you got to sell your silver. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to be at a point when you start stacking silver and gold that you've got that disposable income. You just got that little extra. Maybe you paid off your car loan or you paid off a big credit card and you've taken that same amount of payment that you're used to making and have budgeted for already, and you start investing in silver and gold. Not a bad idea to take some of that if you haven't already started investing in other things too, to maybe invest in different things. But do your research beforehand. The more diversified you are, the better. I don't suggest that you take all your savings and put it into silver and gold. These are commodities, so these are going to fluctuate with the prices of silver and gold. I'm not a commodities broker. I can't give you any advice in that respect. This is just my opinion, but I don't suggest anybody take everything and put it all into this. You should, I think, have a little fiat currency, a little cash currency, set aside for emergencies in case maybe the bank ATMs don't work. Maybe there's a electrical grid system and nobody can get cash out. At least you have some cash. Always a good idea to have extra food on hand. Canned goods are great. You can cycle through the old ones. If you end up with anything you just don't eat, give it to charity. But would recommend that you don't put everything in silver and gold. Because it's good to diversify. It's just a general principle in investing. It's good to diversify. But I think that silver and gold have a valuable place in my stack. To me, this is kind of financial insurance. And It's a great asset to have in emergency, and also to preserve your wealth, because let's face it, you know, as much as I've been talking about, us trying to kill as much of our personal debt as possible, our governments, and I do say governments because it's not just America where I'm from. I'm filming this in America. It's most every country out there has loved to go into debt. Some countries will try to tell you, "Oh no, we don't have much debt," but then they just push all the debt instruments onto the local governments, and there is a lot of debt. Really, it's just not on the federal books. And some things like the EU, I'm a little worried about. I'll get into that in another video, where they have some underlying things that are passed through to the main. Well, anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, so this can be a great investment to hold, a great way to preserve your wealth over time. And I do suggest that I would think it's a great idea for everybody to have some silver and gold, but you got to take care of your main expenses first. And it all comes down to budgeting. Once you get to a point where you feel comfortable that you can make a budget for silver and gold, then you'll be able to purchase some of it and start stacking. And even if you're starting to stack, like I said, with that 1 ounce a month or maybe 2 months, or going through looking for dimes, half dollars, and quarters that are silver, just do some coin roll hunting. You're starting your stack in some respect, and sometimes it's not something you want to do overnight. It's something that you build up to, and some of the most successful stackers have been stacking for years, and they've amassed a lot of wealth, and they've saved a lot of money in the form of precious metals. So that's pretty much all I wanted to mention on budgeting. Again, these are my opinions only. Hopefully you found some of them interesting. Maybe for some of you who are starting out stacking, or who are younger and not too sure if stacking is the right thing for you to do. It's helped to give you a little perspective on when the right time is to start stacking, and maybe how you can stack in the interim period before you reach that level. But anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you do, please give us a thumbs up. It really does encourage us to make more content, and I would love to have your subscription. So I do thank you for watching. Hopefully you found this interesting, and I just hope you have a great day, evening, dusk, whatever it happens to be in your area. Thanks for watching. Take care.